when I was representing Nico, the hairstylist out of LA who does Halle Berry, I was getting Nico $3,500 a day. And I remember the time I got him $2,500 a day and realized I hadn't asked for enough money and felt like I had left his money on the table, because when I told the woman his day rate was $2,500, she said, "Oh, okay." And at that moment, I knew I could have gotten more money for him, and I never left the money on the table again.
Welcome to the Hair Artist Academy podcast, where it's all about helping you build a successful business and life filled with purpose, passion, and prosperity. And now, your host, Brenda Waters, aka Ms. H2O.
Hello, and welcome to the Hair Artist Academy podcast. I am your host, Brenda Waters. Many of you may know me as Ms. H2O from Hair Battle Spectacular Season 2. You guys, I am so thrilled to have our featured guest on today's show. She has been coined the Empowerment Diva. She founded Crystal Agency for hair, makeup, and fashion styling, which quickly became one of the most sought-after agencies for beauty professionals. She has played a huge role in developing and elevating the careers of some of the most talented and successful hair and makeup artists, fashion stylists, manicurists, and photographers working in the entertainment industry. She's the author of 30 Days at 100%, as well as the Hair, Makeup, Fashion Styling, and Manicurist Career Guide. She's a sought-after keynote speaker and trainer at beauty trade shows such as the Makeup Show, Premiere Orlando, Bronner Brothers International Hair Show, America's Beauty Show, and many more. She keeps beautypreneurs and stylepreneurs informed, inspired, and focused by providing tools, education, and advice that is needed to thrive behind the scenes in photo shoots, music videos, movies, television commercials, and TV shows. Our guest today is the uber glam fabulous Miss Crystal Wright. Welcome to the show today, Crystal.
Well, thank you so much. I'm looking around my room trying to find the person you were talking about. My goodness, that was fabulous.
Well, Crystal, you have no idea how much you have impacted my life. I have been following your work for many years. I've been a fan for probably, since I really got into the beauty industry. And I'm just so ecstatic and honored to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you, because I'm thrilled to be here. I always look at it as a blessing when someone wants to interview me. So I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's do this. We always like to start the show off with a little bit of inspiration and empowerment. And Crystal, I'd like for you to give us your favorite empowerment quote.
I have a quote that I share in my classes all the time and with my grads, and that is, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
All right. Now, I love that.
Yeah, it speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So I've told our audience a little bit about you. Could you tell us more?
I always, and I'm never sure where to start, but since we're talking about fashion and beauty, I'll start with actually how I got in this business. I was an account exec for Xerox. I was a tired account exec for Xerox. And I wanted to do something else. And I met a photographer and a week later quit my job to be his agent.
Wow.
Unfortunately, 6 months later, he fired me. And not because I wasn't doing a good job. I was, in fact, doing too good a job. But a makeup artist that worked with him all the time on all of his shoots. And he did everything from Essence magazine to Ebony magazine back then, tons and tons of album covers. Yeah, they were still called album covers then. And after he fired me, his makeup artist asked me to be her agent. And I wasn't going to do it because I thought these creative people are just nuts and I need to go back to corporate America. But I did, in fact, decide to represent her after she convinced me to negotiate a deal for her. She had gotten a call from a production company and they were doing Janet Jackson's Control video. And Janet Jackson wanted her to do the makeup, and I negotiated that fee for her. And it was so much money because I've never been afraid to ask for the money. I've never wanted to leave the money on the table. And at the end of 3 days, the check was over $9,000. How about that?
Unbelievable.
And that was in the 80s.
Wow. That is extraordinary.
That was in the 80s. Yeah. So here I am all these years later, still working with makeup artists and hairstylists and fashion stylists and now manicurists, the hottest new thing. And I just love it. I love where I am and what I'm doing.
Crystal, that is such a great start to a wonderful career. It's kind of like it just haphazardly happened, but we all know things don't just haphazardly happen. There's a reason and a purpose, the way things happen in our life. So do you feel like that helped you discover your purpose and your passion in life?
Oh, yeah, but it was totally accidental. First of all, I'm from Tacoma, Washington. Nobody in Tacoma, Washington knows anything about or knew anything about photography and makeup and hair and advertising and music videos and television commercials. So you're right. It may seem haphazard, but God always has a plan.
Oh, yes.
So, you talk about my other favorite quote is plan to work and work the plan. And God had set out a plan. And there were many times when I felt like I was just walking through the dark and didn't know exactly where I was going. But I ended up in a place I couldn't have imagined. And it's the perfect place for me to be. I always say now, if I had known that I would be such a good teacher and such a good educator, maybe I would have become a teacher.
Yes, I think that's something that you do on a daily basis. It's something that I think we all do on a daily basis, whether we know it or not. We're all teachers and students at the same time. We're all teaching and learning each and every single day of our life. And that's really what this podcast is all about. This is the Hair Artist Academy podcast. And yes, we are teaching hairstylists, makeup artists, fashion stylists, manicurists, fashion and beauty bloggers, anybody who's remotely related to the beauty and hair industry, how to build a successful business. But it really is not just about that. It really is about finding your purpose and finding your passion in life, and the money will come.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. I say that all the time. Do what you love and the money will come. I think some people get confused though, because it doesn't mean do what you do sloppily and the money will come.
Right.
Do what you do the best that you can possibly do it, and then the money will come.
Absolutely, Crystal. I share this a lot with family and friends, and I get a lot of strange looks because there are a lot of people who feel like the things that they enjoy doing does not bring the money that they need to help support their lifestyle. But I agree with what you just said. If you do it well and you do it to the best of your ability, you don't have to worry about that monetary gain. It comes along with it.
Listen, let me tell you something. I was doing a class for a hair care company that was out on tour with them. And I was in a room full of salon owners. And not all of them were very happy with me because they're complaining about they're not making enough money. This is not happening and that is not happening. But at the same time, there's somebody getting $250 to do hair color.
Yes.
And I know that because I paid it. And this is what I said to them. I said, well, that light in the back room in your salon that you needed to change the light bulb 6 months ago and you haven't done it, or the coffee maker that doesn't work anymore. Remember how when you first opened up the salon, you used to offer your clients coffee and you had orange juice in the fridge, and the baseboards in your salon that aren't clean anymore because when you opened up the salon, all the salon stylists, everybody agreed that they were going to chip in to clean up, and then they stopped chipping in. And so you put your hands on your hips and said, well, if they're not going to help me, I'm not going to do it. I said, well, that's your brand. Your brand is the brand with the broken coffee maker and the light that doesn't work and the grease on the baseboards and the paint falling off the walls. So stop wondering why you don't get top dollar for what you do. Your brand is the loud music and the soap opera playing in the background. And if that's not what I want, and if I'm not willing to pay $125 for a shampoo, blow dry, and curl in a salon where the music is so loud I can't hear myself think, well, that's your brand, but it doesn't suit my aesthetic and I have to go.
Well, Crystal, I love that you brought that up. I love that you brought that up. I experienced early on in my career the difference of branding and the difference of a mediocre salon versus a high-end salon. And starting out, I had no idea. I didn't understand. I started very early, around 17, working in a hair salon. I didn't understand that you don't reuse plastic caps. That was just something that happened in the salon. I was taught to take the plastic caps to the back room, rinse them out, and let them hang dry. I was taught that you don't have to base a client's scalp in order to do their relaxer. I was taught all these different things that were accurate in certain extents when it came to hair, but just totally inaccurate when it came to running a business. So I was able to live in that world and work in that world, and then moved to Atlanta and was able to work in a drastically different environment, a high-end salon that was the complete opposite of where I came from. And at that point, I understood what branding was. I had no ideas that clients would come in and change into a smock and sit down and wait and to be served coffee or refreshments, and then called over to have their hair shampooed by an assistant and then escorted to their hairstylist. And then the hairstylist has an actual consultation before performing the service. And each step of the process was completely and totally executed with perfection.
And people weren't yelling across the room?
No loud music. It was just pristine. It was an experience. And that's what we as hair, makeup, fashion stylists, salon owners, we have to understand that our services are not just some thing that we just do. It's an experience that we offer. And Crystal just brought up something. You brought up something very important, the importance of branding. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
You know, the thing about branding is branding encompasses so many things, and some of them are just so easy to achieve. You know, from the moment you meet someone and shake their hand, that is the beginning of what they know about you, and that is part of your brand. Think about it. As a woman, if a man gives you a weak handshake, how does it make you feel? So when you walk up to somebody and give them a limp, weak handshake, they get a sense of who you are and what you're like. Whether it's true or not, that is what they walk away with. Now hand them your business card. It kills me that people will go to Vistaprint and get the free business cards that are the real thin, flimsy ones with the Vistaprint logo on the back because they don't want to spend $20 on 250 business cards. But the business card that you put in someone's hand and the feel of that business card and how substantial it feels is part of your brand. If you are crossing your phone number out on your business card because you move from one salon to another and you hand it to me and say, oh, you know, I just moved to a new salon, so this is my new number. What you're telling me is that you don't know how to plan the work and work the plan, because didn't you know you were moving, and didn't you have a week before you moved to get new business cards? You know, it's all the sloppiness or the neatness, the lack of professionalism or the professionalism with the way you do what you do all the time. It is the standard. Your brand is the standard by which you run your business. It is like in 30 days at 100%, I say, if you are going to walk out of your house without your hair done and your makeup done and your clothes looking good, and the first thing that you say to yourself when you walk out the door is, I hope nobody sees me, that could not possibly be your 100%. So if that's what you're giving, don't expect any more than you're giving out. All of these things make up your brand. You know, you want to walk around in high heel shoes with the shoes running over on the sides. Well, that's part of your brand. Personally and professionally, these are the kinds of things that make up your brand. If I walk into your place of business, if you walk into an attorney's office and the carpet has holes in it and the leather's all ragged, and he says that his rate is $350 an hour, do you want to pay him? No. But if you walked in there and the place was pristine and the carpet and everything and it smelled good and it looked good and he said $350 an hour, you feel like you should be paying that. It's all part of your brand. I think people start to get confused and think it's only the way that the salon looks or the way that the makeup studio looks and the business cards. But what about you? Are you smiling at people? Do you have a firm handshake? Do you ask more questions than you answer? Are you open to constructive criticism? You see, if you do something, provide a service for me, and there's something I don't like about it, and me telling you that I don't like it or I want something different makes you upset, well, that's part of your brand. And if that doesn't suit me, what you've done is you've made it impossible for me to share with you what I like or what I don't like. And you've also made it impossible for me to recommend you to my friends because I don't want them to be subject to that attitude because that attitude is part of your brand.
Crystal, this is why I love me some Crystal Wright because she will bring it with no hesitation, and she will tell it like it IT is, you guys. And so just as you're listening to this, she may be stepping on a few toes. It's okay. It's okay. It might hurt a little bit, but it'll stop. I want you guys to really take this information in because as hairstylists, it's time for us to step it up. As makeup artists, fashion stylists, manicurists, photographers, let's step it up because there are so many people out there searching for great hair, makeup artists, fashion stylists, and we're out there. And I want to see more and more of that. Crystal has 2 books. The Hair and Makeup Fashion Stylist Manicurist Career Guide. And it took me years to get my hands on this book. I learned about this book at least, I'd say about 8 or 9 years ago. And I was talking to one of my friends at the time and colleague, and I kind of just got to Atlanta and was getting my feet wet in the industry. And I said, oh, one day I think I want to do celebrities. And he looked at me and said, well, I'm going to be a fashion stylist. And I was like, well, what's a fashion stylist? I had no idea what that was or that it even existed. He says, oh, we're the people who select the clothes and the wardrobe for celebrities, and we go to award shows and we dress them. I'm like, wow. He's like, well, if you want to do anything in the entertainment industry, you have to get Crystal Wright's book. And I was like, well, who's Crystal Wright? So I go through this whole process of discovering who you were. And from that point, my whole quest and goal was to get my hands on your book. And I was able to do that several years ago. And I am so happy I did. It really impacted my career. It's helped me on so many different levels. When different issues would come up in my freelance career, in my business, I would always reference this book. This is my go-to guide. So thank you, Crystal, so much for creating and writing that. It has really just been a godsend for me as a businesswoman. But I want you to tell us a little bit about the book and why this is so imperative that every single beautypreneur and stylepreneur have this book as part of their toolkit.
Well, I think the most important thing to know about the book is that ask yourself this question. Where else are you going to find all the information that you need to know if you want to freelance behind the scenes in print, video, film, and television? You know, it's nobody's responsibility to sit down and tell you how to be a freelance hairstylist. Aside from that, there are just so many details in the book and things that you need to know as it relates to going out and finding the clients, as it relates to building your physical portfolio for the web and or a print portfolio. there's just so much information in the book about how much you should charge for doing certain things. You know, how much do you charge if you're doing a music video? What's the day rate? How much do you charge for overtime? And are you supposed to get a kit fee? Oh my gosh, really? What is a kit fee? If you don't know the answers to those questions, then all those questions are in the book. And, you know, there's the print version of the book. Of course, you can get that on Amazon.com, or you can get it on my website at makeuphairandstyling.com. But you can also get it on Kindle, or you can get it on iTunes for the iPad. And the one that's on Kindle and the iPad are the most updated versions as of the last 8 months. So, you know, the book is over 400 pages. When people say to me, well, oh my God, it's $49.95. I'm like, yeah, for everything that you need to know about being an artist, how to fill out a deal memo, what a deal memo is, when you're supposed to start getting overtime, how you negotiate for overtime, what your day rate should be on a television commercial versus a music video versus a print ad versus a television show. How do you get into the union? All of that stuff is in the Hair, Makeup, Fashion, Styling, and Manicurist Career Guide.
You guys, this book is the business. I mean, literally everything you need to know about the beauty business and operating as a freelance professional is in this book. I remember the very first time I got a phone call to do a celebrity hairstyling service. Of course, I was screaming and I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. I was so, you guys, it was like the best feeling ever. And after, we talked through the conversation, and towards the end, of course, you know, the pricing issue comes up, which is when most of us get a little timid and we get shy and we don't want to discuss it. But it was pretty simple. What the publicist said to me at the time was, this person wants to have their hair done by you, and this is what she needs. This is where we need you to be. This is what time. And then she says, send us over an invoice. And at that moment, I froze. I had no idea how to even construct an invoice. But you know what was my saving grace? The Hair, Makeup, Fashion Stylist, and Manicurist Career Guide. I went straight to that book, turned to the section where I needed to find how to create an invoice. And because of that, it saved a day. I would not have even known how to approach that. And if you don't know how to approach that, then you look as if you don't know what you're doing. You look very unprofessional.
And let me tell you something about looking unprofessional in a scenario like that. What it really is that you look weak. You look weak to the decision maker. And whatever it is about some people that are doing business with you that make them want to go for the jugular when you look weak, because you sound weak, because when they ask you a question, you don't answer it like it's an answer. You answer it like it's a question. Like a decision maker will say, so what's your day rate? And you'll say, $800? Well, the fact that you said $800 like it's a question means you've never made $800 a day before in your life. At that moment, they know they can get you for $5 because you've never made $800. Because if you would have said $800 on an 8-hour day plus overtime, that sounds like somebody that's used to getting that kind of money or much more. When I was representing Nico, the hairstylist out of LA who does Halle Berry, I was getting Nico $3,500 a day. And I remember the time I got him $2,500 a day and realized I hadn't asked for enough money and felt like I had left his money on the table, because when I told the woman his day rate was $2,500, she said, oh, okay. And at that moment, I knew I could have gotten more money for him, and I never left the money on the table again.